Have you heard about the orphan trains? Well, if you haven't, hold on to your seat because it's a wild ride and it ties right into why they're hiding so much of our actual history. But if you haven't seen my videos of who these statues actually are, I'd go check those out first because then it'll open your mind to what the rest of this story's about. Because once you realize the light bearer, also known as Lucifer, who bears the forbidden fruit, is being worshipped all around us, then it'll open your mind to the fact that we've been lied to our entire lives and we're just now starting to figure it out. But why would they want to lie? Why would the people in charge, the controllers in charge of this earth, this flat realm we live in, want to hide beautiful cities like this and the fact that we had better technology and we lived much different lives not too long ago? Well, I'm starting to fully believe it's because the millennial kingdom, the millennial reign of 1,000 years of peace and righteousness already happened. And if you're not much of a Bible person, don't worry. I wasn't either until I really started to research the false history. And if you look at things with an open mind at all, it'll take the blinders off. And it's funny, if they wanted to hide this, they wanted to hide this 1,000-year beautiful reign of Jesus Christ's kingdom, what would they do? They like to pervert everything of God. Well, have you ever heard of a thing called the Dark Ages? There just happened to be a period of 900 to 1,000 years where humans didn't advance and things were just terrible and depressing? Or could that be a story? Could that be a story covering up something wonderful and beautiful? Because to me, some of the architecture, some of the beautiful buildings that they say were created by chisel and slaves and tools that you couldn't even imagine could create things like this, they don't add up. And then you start thinking, if those 1,000 years actually happened and they're over, what happens at the end of them? Well, the angel comes down with the key to the abyss and lets Satan out to deceive the nations for a little period. And do you know how many angels came down with Satan and did the deeds with him that God probably wasn't happy with? Just happened to be about 200 of the fallen angels, the Watchers. Do you know what else there are 200 of? There just happened to be 200 of these asteroid craters all over the earth. Kind of funny how it looks exactly like the picture depicted of Satan coming out from the earth. Could it be that when these angels were released and these giant craters were formed, they created what's known as the mud flood? The mud flood that doesn't seem to be contained to just one nation, but all over the world? All over the world, just like those giant asteroid craters are found all over the world? So again, maybe we're living in a time period where the millennial reign already happened. But if we knew that, if we knew that this already happened, then we wouldn't be able to be deceived, right? They wouldn't be able to deceive us. They wouldn't be able to lie to us about where we are, who we are, and when we are, because we would know. So what do? They have to cover up the fact that there was ever a civilization here reigning for 1,000 years of peace. And they had to hide that from us and create a false history and a false narrative. A false narrative that we all came to buy because we all went to public education and bought into the stories of the Oregon Trail and Western travel. It's all nonsense. And for the people that they didn't want to give up the memory of that 1,000-year reign in Jesus Christ actually being here on earth, they created lunatic asylums. Because if you look at it, the number of patients back in that time period is astronomical. Over 150,000 patients in mental hospitals. And if they put those adults in mental institutions, well, what happened to their kids? Well, if there are 150,000 mental patients in the United States in 1904, it would seem about right that about 200,000 American children would become orphaned. And around that time period, boy, were there a lot of orphans. The timing adds up. And the reason for why there were so many orphans seems to make sense to me. And the evidence is there. All you have to do is look for it. Because it's right in plain sight. You just don't ever hear about it. So here's the bottom line. Are you willing to look past your indoctrination and your lifetime of beliefs and explore truth? And willing to have an open mind to the fact that maybe we're living past that 1,000 years and it's expired. And there's been some evil released on the world to deceive you. Because if God let it happen, then maybe he's testing you. Maybe he's testing to see if you will choose the light or you will choose the dark. It's up to you. And I know I probably don't already have to say it, but this is all for entertainment purposes. I don't believe a word I said. It's all satire. I was just making a big old joke.